Our next session, the last before lunch, we've all been looking forward to this, is with, I don't think it's even close, the most admired person in the world right now. And why is he the most admired person in the world? Because we're in an age of tweeting and talking, and this is somebody who puts his life on the line and inspires, and he walks the walk. Mr. President, are you here? Oh, it works. Welcome.
Вітаю вас.
Greetings. Greetings. A big pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends, thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you for invitation to participate in this summit. And if it's okay, I want to speak Ukrainian. If it's okay, Randall.
Please, do you have something, and I believe you have something you want to say. We would love to hear it.
Thanks. I think so. You will tell me after my speech. Я впевнений, сьогодні буде сказано багато мудрих слів.
I'm very much sure that lots of wise words will be told today about philanthropy, about charity, about chances of assisting and helping, and I'm not going to waste our time on things that can be said by others. I would rather draw attention to one detail, which is an important one to me. The one of the experience that Ukraine has gained and that others may gain together with Ukraine. Ukraine is now the only place on earth which organically joins investments and philanthropy. You can be an investor in Ukraine, and as a result of it, actual philanthropist in respect of others. You can even be just a business person, and this regular economic activity will transform into a true assistance for hundreds, millions, even billions of people. Just have a look. So many things worldwide depend on the supplies of agrarian products from Ukraine on the global market. For agro-industrial producers in Ukraine, for business persons, for farmers, it's about their business, their work, it's their economy. But as a consequence, this means the right to food, to be fed for hundreds of millions of people in the countries in Africa, Asia, Europe. We are sending our agricultural product to Ethiopia, Somalia, Yemen, Lebanon, other countries, and this is about saving real lives. But many things depend on the logistics. When Russia blocked our seaports, the grain exports dwindled times and times because grains, sunflower, other raw materials need logistics that is hard to rebuild from scratch in a moment. Bigger volumes will require more investments into the exporting technologies. For example's sake, we are working to build a pipeline to Poland to export sunflower seal oil. This is a specific pilot project. For us, it is about economy. For the global world market of food, this is an element of stability and food security. By investing in the agricultural processing in Ukraine, in building the storage and silo facilities for food, it may be possible to increase logistical capacities for supplies of agrarian products and also enhance the range of products that can be supplied. The more added value Ukraine produces, the more added security people worldwide will receive. See what electricity generation means in Ukraine. On the one hand, this is business, a rather profitable one, particularly when it comes to green energy. But given our opportunities of exporting electricity, this is more than just a business. This is a real instrument for preventing energy poverty for tens of millions of people in the countries of Europe with which we border. This is about stabilizing energy supply situation on the whole European continent. We have Moldova, Romania, Poland, other neighboring countries addressing us to help them with our electricity in wintertime. and we are ready to help them. This is why investments into the broadening of our energy capacities is about saving multiple nations from freeze. Moreover, Ukraine's possibility of exporting tens gigawatts of electricity is an important contributor to the European climate policy. Europe is currently still very much dependent on the dirty Russian energy carriers. They're dirty not just because their sales is a way for Russia to finance its wars, but it is also about emissions into the atmosphere, and they're being extracted in a way which is completely disrespectful of the environment, to the extent that the extraction in Russia is synonymous to environmental disaster. Ukrainian power generation may help replacing those dirty Russian energy sources. And this is also about climate safety. We also have colossal possibilities of hydrogen electricity and green hydrogen exportation to Europe. Solar, wind, nuclear energy, green hydrogen. It's not just about billions of dollars that can be invested and earned. It is also about billions of dollars that will work to support and help other countries and people. New green and clean energy will require lithium, graphite, other such metals that we have plentiful. And by investing in Ukraine, you can facilitate the development of green energy in other countries. We are generating 10 billion cubic meters of wood every year. And we are also investing in the restoration of our woods. The investments in the production of an environmentally safe product from wood, from cellulose in Ukraine, is a way to reduce the use of oil, hydrocarbons, plastics, is a measure of joint defense and protection of our nature. Another example, the whole world needs fertilizers to produce more food. Why would one do it by buying Russian gas? You can have facilities to produce tens of millions tons of green, clean, cheap ammonia in Ukraine. And it is possible to earn on that and help others, enhancing their world food security. Ukraine has never been to illicit wars. We are not aggressors. We've never wanted nothing evil to other nations. We never had geopolitics as a measure to subjugate someone. Why this is important? When any economic player works at our country, this means that the economic potential it creates with its business helps implementing only peaceful targets and goals. Say if a company is working in Russia, it indirectly assists the evil because as a minimum, it pays its taxes to the budget of the aggressor country, it supports the economic power that serves this terror, or maybe it even directly supplies to Russian army, directly assisting the killings. When a country plays too much with geopolitics and becomes an aggressor, businesses may become contributing to this evil. Because of that, we are thankful to all the companies, all business persons that left the Russian market. And because of that, we suggest all companies, all business persons to come into Ukraine, to start business with us, to localize their production here, to work with Ukraine, to have access to huge European markets, those of Britain, Canada, and other friendly nations. We give priority to the development of our processing industry, multitude of directions of it. We have a special program for its development, and we suggest all investors worldwide to join its implementation. This is exactly the process when investments, when businesses, when the economy become philanthropy by just working, because they are quite capable of growing this peace potential in the world and reduce that of the aggressors. Check the potential possibilities of our IT sectors. Check the sector like drone manufacturing, where Russia wanted to destroy our digital resilience but we prevented them from doing so. Our digital potential is strong. It is very capable. We have a very strong social aspect to it because we have technologies that really work to defend people and to increase their well-being. Our people have digital documents, they have access to public digitized services. The level of business digitalization is very high here. IT companies in Ukraine is profitable business. And this is a business that does good for millions, that protects the world from cyber attacks and Russian cyber threats. This is economy for those who invest and for those who will be using, for example, those drones. This will mean comfort, security, or maybe employment, depending on the class of drones you want. So without stealing more of your time, I would just like to underline the following. Any material effort of an individual leads to long chain of consequences. And any material effort done by a business person leads to consequences that may directly or indirectly affect lives of lots of people, and they can create good. And this is done not just because you give your money somewhere to someone. This is when you work in the moral sense of it, when you do it consciously, when you do your business in a way that your investments not just give you profits, but also help others to lead better lives, having them more secure, with more education, with better health. Businesses have this capacity and potential. I call upon all of you to use this force of business and invest in a way that it will be also helpful to normalize life different people. Welcome to Ukraine. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for your belief in Ukraine. I think it is still there because otherwise I would not be allowed to talk to you. I truly believe that it is possible and we will be able to restore peace. If there are any questions, I will be gladly taking them.
Do we have, Mr. President, do we have your thoughts on timing? I was in Lviv in June, and what you notice when you're even when you're in Ukraine now, there is normalcy, and there are people trying to do business on the street. They brought my daughter, actually, my daughter Sabrina. We have Forbes Ukraine publishing, heroic journalists still operating in Ukraine. So there is business going on now. And I did notice, Mr. President, that when you ask people the state of the war and what's going on, they don't say if we win the war. The saying in Ukraine when you're there is when we win the war. So the question for you is when, and people are asking in terms of timing their investments, when will we win the war? We just saw this, we saw Putin just announced, this partial mobilization and 300,000 troops. And the more success you have, and you've been incredibly successful over the last month, and congratulations. The more success you have, it seems the harsher the reaction, and Putin says he's not bluffing. Do you think he's bluffing?
Він точно ніколи не говорить правди.
Definitely he is not telling truth all the time. And what he says doesn't always match what he does. The question is not that he is going to call up 300,000. The thing is that they have mobilization in Russia for quite some time already. We have information from our intelligence on that. And we do know that these 300,000 questionnaires were already filled out. So it was already premeditated, it was done beforehand, and they were just waiting when to come up with it. You have to understand that they had hidden mobilization for all these months happening across Russia, and we don't know how it was done. It was not public. People really were forced to enroll, and then they were thrown here. And they were thrown in here to die. Why I'm telling this? Because I do know that as soon as they got rid of the professional servicemen, we started the elderly people, just kids, sent to die here just for the sake of ambitions of the only person worldwide bent on waging a war. Yeah, he will be sending his people, his troops here. It doesn't matter to him how many of them will be here. Me being the president of the country that fights for our own freedom against Russian army, even I'm telling it now that, yeah, they are people and they're being sent to get killed. And I don't think that the war will be over as soon as Russia runs out of its fodder. I think it should end sooner. Someone has to rectify the mindset of the Russian Federation's leaders. For us, the war will be over when we have our territory reclaimed. We don't want anything more than that.
So how can our entrepreneurs and our corporate leaders that are here help Ukraine now, both whether for the defense or for the rebuilding?
There are several priorities. First of all, talking about the recovery of the country. We have a fast recovery plan. There are things that we need right now because we need to continue with our life. We need to have our economy up and running, and the business persons in the whole do understand this. You can imagine that the monthly budget deficit is $5 billion. You need to reboot your economy. We have 7 billion of forced migrants, IDPs that had to leave the country. They have to go back to restart the economy, and they have to work for that. For them to work, they will need jobs, and then they will also need schools for their kids, and the schools should be ready to meet and accommodate those children. And they will even need to have shelters. We never thought of our schools as a place where shelters should be. We never thought of missile strikes. So we will have to recover our infrastructure. It's critical included, like healthcare, education, and this will require money. It will require technologies and technical means, if you want. This is where businesses can become handy, investing at things that are needed right now, like the heating infrastructure before the winter season, agricultural silos and storage facilities. I overheard the previous discussion with this World Central Kitchen chef. He mentioned that somehow. So the question is, when we deoccupy a city, we enter it and we see that physically there is no heating network there. There is not a single school which is left undamaged. There is not a single road or bridge that would be free from, shell craters. The demand for infrastructure for life is immense. It's about residential facilities for those who would come to resume life there. Even those who would go there to repair or rebuild need a place to stay. This is when the economy will kickstart back. And another question is a more fundamental one, when businesses might become a political and financial force. And I'm talking just about defensive measure, not any sort of offensive thing. It's about aerial defenses that we definitely need. And business persons could exert certain pressure on the countries because there are not so many countries able to offer such systems. There are systems in the US. We are deeply thankful to the US for their assistance. So we want the aerial defense system. It is also Germany. And they're already doing their part. And we've been promised by the US, by Germany about that. It is also Italy, it is France, it is Israel. So we already have 5 countries that could potentially provide us with aerial defenses. You could help us with it because these aerial defenses is about 2 things: to defend, to protect skies, for people to return to safety in a more or less safe environment to reboot the nation, the life, the economy. From here, political influence for these countries to be ready to give us those aerial defenses, and financial aspects, because the cost of systems counts in hundreds of billions of dollars. And we have partners, the British ones, the US ones, with clear understanding of the bare minimum we need. You know that our country is probably Europe's biggest, and we are in our right mind. We do understand that there is not enough money maybe in the world to ensure 100% clear skies for that country. But also we can help us with developing this opportunity.
Well, speaking of developing opportunities, so we're going to spend, it's kind of the old saying, to never waste a crisis. This is obviously a tremendous crisis, and we appreciate everything you're doing for your people. We're going to have a session this afternoon to talk about, as a group, how maybe we set up like an economic fund, an investment fund for Ukraine. Before the war, when you became president, Ukraine ranked very poorly in terms of economic freedom, a lot of corruption, of course, legacy of the old Soviet system. How can we take this moment to create a country that's strong in economic freedom and economic liberty, and become a beacon and a place that people want to invest, not just morally, but also financially because of the returns?
Я з вами повністю погоджуюсь. Були різні.
Well, I agree with you. There were like dark hours in the history of our nation, economically, in terms of the customs service, the tax service. We changed a lot here. I mentioned digitalization, and we are now busily digitizing all public services. I can tell you that all of your European colleagues will tell you that we are #1 in Europe in terms of the level and scope of digitized public services, which means you get the service without a bureaucrat, an official involved in the middle. Not a single one in this chain. From here, there is no corruption risk. We built an anti-corruption system. We voted all the pieces of legislation necessary for that. We have all of our institutions to fight corruptions in place and going. Yes, we need to reform our judiciary. There are still matters to resolve there. But we work hardly to make businesses independent of all sorts of pressure. And really, the war changed drastically many of the priorities. The criminality has dropped in Ukraine tenfold, don't know how many fold times. People change. It's not about just some change in the situation. People have changed a lot. And I think the war really compelled many of people with criminal past to leave the country. We now have better control through the law enforcement to see that such people will never return to our country. Yes, we have a lot of heroes, falling ones. Unfortunately, this is the cost of war. But the war has different sides, if you want, and different results. And our country now is ready for an open dialogue with businesses in terms of investment, in terms of digital services. And I mean a warm investment climate.
I will say, when you go to Ukraine right now and you spend time there, you can feel the dropping, the country feels very united and wants to use this as a moment to go forward. We have a question from Stuart Levine, one of our participants, asking how you as a leader, and we have a lot of amazing private sector leaders here, how you as a leader what's your strategy to keep your people united?
З самого початку іншого виходу у нас не було. Нам треба було згуртуватися.
Well, right off the bat, there was no other option available to us. It's our homeland. Would us be disunited, Russia would have it easy. We love our nation, our country. Next, we had quite a serious information awareness campaign to join the people. And it was really important. This unification of our people, of our government, of our military. We've never experienced that in the country for the whole time of our independence. Everyone recognizes that. We are now like, one single fist. Yes, it is a challenge because everyone gets tired of the war. It's also a matter of the exhaustion that can be perceived outside Europe, the United States, the UK. We also need to see that they are not tired. So the task is a super task, actually, how to keep everyone united inside the country and outside it. I think this is just because we are fighting for the values, not just of our country, but for the values of the whole world. If we lose, Russia wins, the whole Europe loses. And not just Europe, the whole world will see, outbreaks of such aggressions. Because of that, the aggression has to be punished. And I do think that we will make it.
To spend any time in your country is to agree. We do an award every year, the Forbes 400 Award for Social Entrepreneurship. And we give it to heroes, people who came up and did something extraordinary. We've given it to Jane Goodall or Muhammad Yunus or Paul Farmer. And I want to bring our mutual friend, Jose Andres up. We actually have something we'd like to present to you on behalf of the people of Ukraine.
President Zelensky, Slava Ukraini, how are you, sir? It's good to see you.
Yeah.
I want you to know that your people with World Central Kitchen and the liberated cities in Kharkiv, in the Kherson area, they've been going non-stop to show up next to your people, and as you and we talk. So for me, this is probably the biggest honor I've received in my life, to be able to present an award to the people of Ukraine. So I want everybody here, Mr. President, and everybody here in the room, that you need to know that President Zelensky and the Ukrainian people are not just fighting for freedom and democracy in their country. They are fighting on behalf of all of us for freedom and democracy in Europe, for freedom and democracy in America, for freedom and democracy in the world. And besides the brave men and women that they are defending democracy in Ukraine on behalf of all of us, it takes many more fighters to win a war. In Ukraine right now, as we speak, as Russians keep shelling civilian properties, operas, synagogues, churches, museums, non-stop killing women, children. Right now is doctors that are fighters in the front lines, taking care of the wounded. Right now there are fire and rescue people, saving people under the rubble because they are fighters. Right now there are Ukrainian teachers that they open their classrooms to be shelters to the people that lost their homes. Right now is musicians playing somewhere, bringing hope to the people that need hope more than ever. There are journalists, Ukrainian and from around the world, in the front lines, making sure that all of us, we don't forget that the Ukrainian people and President Zelensky needs us next to them. So I'm here, President Zelensky, to present you with the Forbes 400 Lifetime Achievement Award on behalf of the frontline heroes of Ukraine. So this goes to your people, President Zelensky. This goes to the Ukrainian frontline heroes. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Glory to heroes. Jose, with your permission, I would like to thank on behalf of everyone you mentioned.
Ти абсолютно правий. Всі, хто на фронті, всі, хто в тилу, всі,
You're absolutely right. Everyone on the front line, everyone in the rear fights for our common values, which is about our children, our families, our land, our freedom, our democracy. Freedom is something to fight for. This is the key word here. let me just add one more thing to your list. This war, you know, this horrible war, it opened the door to let into our lives different people, different personalities that I would never hope or dream to see. And I think that many people would say the same. And I mean, people that came to us like you, particularly like you, who from the very outset, from the beginning of this war, came to Ukraine. I do know of every place, every locality that as soon as it was retaken, we had your teams there. You were there personally with your World Central Kitchen. And I said of that multiple times. You know those tragic photos. You saw those things firsthand. So this war let people, extraordinary people like you in our country. So like it or not, but you're half Ukrainian now. You're welcome. You're a part of us. And because of that, I'd like to tell you that receiving this lifetime award, the people of Ukraine, you are also a part of this award. Like many more other Western friends who've been with us from day one of the war, standing shoulder by shoulder. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go to see you very soon. I'm taking care of some hurricanes issue here, and as soon as I finish the hurricanes, I'm flying back to Ukraine. So I'm going to see you soon, Mr.
And I would actually encourage, you know, especially in Western Ukraine, it's a wonder to see. So we know you have a war to win, so we want to be respectful of your time, but just know that here, I know in Ukraine, when you're there, people are very worried about being forgotten, that the world will forget. I want to assure you that we will not forget, and we're here with you. So good luck and Godspeed.
Slava Ukraini!
Glory to heroes. It's a great honor for us. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dear friends, thank you. The team, Forbes team, everyone present, please welcome to Ukraine. We will be waiting. You're absolutely right, dear Randall, that you were absolutely right that, well, when you were to Ukraine, you could feel it. So I think just one moment here is worth a million of my words. So please come to us, visit our country. Welcome. Thank you for this wonderful award.
I'm bringing all of them in a plane, so win that war. I'm bringing all of them in a plane. Win that war.
Thank you, Mr. President. We appreciate your time, and we appreciate everything you do and your people do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I invite all of you. Thank you. All the best. Bye-bye. Good luck.
Thank you. Lots
He
to talk
speaks
about online.
amazing English, I want you to know. But he's more secure that way, but his English is really actually very good.
So we got a lot to talk about at lunch, and we'll go upstairs to the library, but thank you for a great morning.